Welcome to the podcast where we look at the ins and outs of the business world. My name is Frikkie, and today's guest is a former drug addict that has turned his life around and is now the owner of a multi-million rand business. As a 24-year-old, he found himself sitting, crying on a Karoo town's pavement, homeless, hopeless, and wanted by nobody because of his years of drug abuse. Today, he is a wonderful husband and a father to two beautiful girls, and he is the owner of a multi-million rand business. Frikkie, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. Such a great honor.
Yeah, we've been friends for, I think it's 6 years now. We met in a pizza place here in town. And from there, I think we have, I don't want to call it a obsession, but we have a passion for any contact sport. So most of our chats is Sunday mornings very early, around 3 a.m. So I really enjoy your views and everything. And also you are a super inspiration to me. I never heard your story, so we're gonna look at your story today. But just the way you operate the business is, I don't have they call it balls for that, but you certainly do. So thanks for being here. It's a real honor. Yeah. I just want to start off by reading you a quote that I got off the internet. It's your quote, just to set up your story, and then you can just elaborate on that. The quote goes, "I promise you that day, if I could have gotten my hands on a gun, that I would have taken my life. I was just tired of being tired." That was you, 24 years old. Take us to the events that led up to that quote.
It's actually strange that we asking me this question this morning, because yesterday I had a conversation with somebody and I said to them that if I close my eyes and I think just a little quietly, I can go back to that moment just like that. And I remember how I felt, and I really was on my way to that day. Every time that I had a plan or to have to go make a plan or went on a mission was to get the next fix. That day it was not about the next fix, it was about today I'm going to find a gun and I'm going to end this, because I was just tired of being tired. I was done with life. I was really going to take myself out. And in that moment when God spoke to me, everything just inside of me just changed. It was such an amazing moment.
Okay, Frikkie, take us through where you grew up and how did you become a drug addict?
So I grew up in a small town called Senekal. It's in the Eastern Free State. There, normally if you grow up in Senekal, you play rugby or you love tractors, or it's a farm town. It's a small little farm town there in the Eastern Free State. And my parents got divorced when I was 5-6 years old. So my mom married a new husband. My dad got a new wife. My relationship with my stepfather was not bad, but it was not good. And then my relationship with my stepmom was really not good. It was just like really not good. And growing up, we always used to hear how bad the stepmom is, and if you go on the other side, how bad the stepdad is. It's mixed emotions going up and down. But my stepdad became my stepdad. I mean, he's the guy that taught me how to play golf and went fishing, and he became like my dad. And when I was 13 years old, we moved to Bloemfontein, and we went to school there. And it was from the age of 13, sometimes my mom wouldn't come out the room on a Sunday, or maybe on a Saturday and a Sunday, and we really never really knew what was going on. Until one day we found out that my stepdad is physically abusing my mom. And to me it was a big shock. I mean, this guy was the guy that was like my dad. So there was a big shock. And I remember one day being at school and my mom just came and fetched us, and we went home, packed our bags and left. We left everything just like that. Just our bags. Started a new life with just my mom. My mom was an amazing person, always helping everybody, always had time for other people, beautiful woman. And 1 year in, me and my sister found out that, or discovered that my mom was drinking quite heavily. And it eventually got very bad, where I would go to her work and find bottles in the drawer, or we would find bottles in the bathroom, or it just got real bad, and it's like real bad. You know, it's like bad when you see your person that you love like going slowly. It's like slowly dying. It's like a daily thing. It's like every day a little bit of them go, to the place where we eventually, like, she was drinking so bad that we would go shopping and she would fall down on the floor, or she would pick us up from school and she was falling all over the place. And this was an amazing woman, and she just went to like pieces. And I was angry with life because my dad was nowhere to be found. Nobody else that we relied on was helping us. It was just me, my sister, my brother, and we had to deal with this thing. And eventually her mom stepped in, and my mom went to rehab, came out. She was amazing. But inside rehab, she met this guy, and they got married, and they started drinking again, and then it went very bad. And then eventually my mom died from drinking. But in this whole process, for me to deal with all of this, I became very rebellious, and I didn't believe in God. I didn't want nothing to do with God, any Christian, any pastor, any nothing. And I was smoking weed and drinking and doing drugs, and I was just rebellious. I didn't feel nothing for nobody. And eventually it just got real bad. And when my mom died, we went to live with my dad, and we were never really allowed to speak about what happened there. It was just like, she died, and now nobody's speaking about what happened there. And we didn't go and see somebody. So you sat with this pain inside of you and all these questions. And I was just angry with life. I was like, what's this all for? Who's this God that everybody's speaking about? And I eventually became a cocaine addict. I started selling drugs, got deep down into the underworld, doing everything that's bad. And eventually it got to a place where I lost everything. I mean, I went to rehab and tried to stop, and went to rehab and tried to stop, and went missing for days on end, and nobody wanted anything to do with me. But I can't blame anybody. I was not a nice person. It's not the guy that you see today. Was full of nonsense. And eventually I found myself there on the pavement, in the Karoo. It's tired. It's like, done. What is this life for? What is this, all this? And I sat there with my hands like this. And I was like, oh God, if you are there, then what not? Here I am. What? And God spoke to me in an audible voice. And the people always, when I say to them, He spoke to me, they're like, yeah, but where is it? From outside? It was from inside. Inside of me, something went, I'm going to raise you up in the business world. You're going to help people like you are. But it was real. There's that moment. It's so real that some days still now, when I feel like giving up, or feel like things are too tough, or I feel like too disappointed, or I always go back to that moment. Because there God arrested me with this dream, with this thing to start helping other people. And today I can go back there. And I still go back to that moment. And that's where everything started for me. But it's not just a start and a quick. God's not a magician. He doesn't tap his fingers and things just fall in place. I started right at the bottom. Nobody gave me something. I started right at the bottom and I worked my way up. So that's how I got myself to that place where I was sitting on the pavement with nowhere to go. If I look back to it, I don't blame my mom, I don't blame my dad, I blame myself. I made the choices to get me there. But a lot of things happened that influenced the perception and the way that I was thinking to get me to that place. So yeah, that's it.
So if I just think about that, how long from that moment until we're going to talk about Hope again, that's your foundation, your rehab centers. So how long was the process from there to finally doing and doing what you heard you must do?
Yeah. So from there, from the pavement, when I heard God's voice, I got up. And there was a lady that I knew in Bethlehem that I really had I had a soft spot. She had a soft spot for me, and I really knew that if I was to get there, that she might help me. And I hiked all the way there. And she arranged that I go to another rehab. And I went there for another 8 months or so. And so I was in rehab for 14 months, non-stop, when I eventually came right. And I went to rehab, and inside of rehab, my relationship with my dad started getting better. And when I came out, I remember my dad picking me up, and he's like, "What you gonna go do?" So I'm like, No. You know what? I'm so on fire for Jesus. I'm gonna be a missionary. I'm on my way. I'll go to Mozambique to Hardy Baker. You'll work. I'm like, "Oh, but what will I do?" So I got this job at an agricultural place in Bethlehem, and I was packing boxes in a storeroom. I didn't have a car to go to work, so I walked. Some days I walked. Then I got a lift with my brother. Then I walked. It's like no car. It's like making plans. And every single day I went to work and I packed boxes. But you know what? I did it the best that I could. And every day I was grateful for another chance at life. Every day I was like, as long as I don't go back to that moment where I wanted to kill myself, I'm willing to do anything. So I packed boxes the best that I could. And I cleaned the storeroom the best I could. And eventually they saw, but there's something going on here. The stock's not going missing, and the storeroom is looking good, and let's give this guy a chance on the sales counter. And then I went to the sales counter. And then all of a sudden, the sales goes up. Because now I'm selling as good as I can, the best I can. And then eventually, this lady goes on maternity leave down in Ceres in the Western Cape. I don't know anybody in the Western Cape. Nobody. I've got a bag full of clothes and I'm on a plane. And the guy picks me up on the airport with my bag full of clothes. That's my life. And I'm in Ceres. The guy that picked me up eventually became my father-in-law. It's quite strange how the world works. But I got to Ceres, and first month it just went, the sales of the branch just went through the roof. So it's God's favor, but everything just went up. But what I did is every single thing I did it as good as I could. And I looked after my job because I knew that this might be my last chance. This is what I have. This is what I have to work with. And I just worked my way up to the point where I became a salesman. Eventually I was making a lot of money. I was helping people, financing their rehabs, encouraging them. So in the beginning, I couldn't open a rehab, but I could encourage people and I could sponsor them. So yeah, so I was getting busy with the things that God was calling me for. And I've seen in my own life that as long as I'm busy with what God has intended me to do, things go well for me. The moment I step out of it and I just want to make money because making money is money, it fails. I'm never successful outside of that. I'm always successful inside of that calling. And eventually I got headhunted to open a business, which I did. I got shares, and that's how I eventually started my own things. I got the gap somewhere from a guy that headhunted me because I was doing well while I was doing what I needed to do, and that's how the business has started.
I think what I can take of this part of the podcast is once you took ownership of whatever you did, then stuff fall into place.
Yes.
And I think that's the beginning of success. In your case, was you took responsibility and ownership of what's given to you,
yeah.
and then you would flourish. So let's quickly move into the rehab space. So you said 14 months it took you to get clean. Now I'm definitely not in any means an expert on drugs. You know all the stuff. What's very interesting to me is we played golf once. I don't know if you can remember this, and I asked you if let's say I heard now your story and how you came to that, but I asked you that day. Let's take me as an example. So I had a very good upbringing, stable home, did good at school, was a very balanced young person. Let's say I took drugs then. Would it have the same effect, the same addictive effect on me as it did, let's say, to somebody that came out of a broken home? And I will never forget this. You said drugs don't discriminate between anything. Not class, not income, not your background, not where you are. It takes you where you are. And that was an eye-opener for me. And also something I want to teach my children is it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter how successful you are, the background that you have. It takes you where you are. So just take us through that process of what's it like for going through a process of 14 months to getting clean. How does it feel to be dependent on a substance?
You see, the thing is, drugs don't discriminate, and it's very important that people realize that when I tell my story and I say, but I took drugs and my mom drank herself to death, and I don't say I took drugs because my mom drank herself to death. That's not the reason why I took drugs. My mom drank herself to death. The reason why I say that to people is that they understand that when I speak, I understand the pain of losing somebody through it, and I almost lost myself through it. And when I do stuff and I open centers and I help people because I don't want somebody to go through the same pain I went through. And just this Sunday, my little girl, she doesn't even know my mom. She's never seen her. I mean, my mom died when I was 16. And she came to me and she said, Daddy, what do you remember about Grandma? I was like, just taken back. Yes. And then I told her what I remembered, and she came back and she sang me a song about my mom, and I was like, whew, it's bad, eh? It's crying the whole day. It's bad. So it's and then you but it took me back to a thing, and it made me realize this is why I do what I do, because I don't want people to lose people anymore. And when society doesn't understand the effect of drugs, when they go I can try it because I don't have this broken background, or I can try it because I've got a lot of money, or I can try it because I don't think I've got an addictive personality, or there's no such thing. The drugs that they are putting out there today is a mess. They're out to catch you. They're out to hook you. The game plan is money. They want your money. That's what they want. And to get your money, they'll get you hooked physically. So you think you're buying crystal meth or ecstasy or cocaine, there's some heroin inside of that. That's a physical addiction. You'll wake up with cramps. You won't be able to walk. You're going to have to get your fix to go and be normal. So it's just and with a society where things are, it's okay to smoke weed. It's legal. It's okay to drink. It's fine. We can get drunk on a Saturday watching the rugby. It's just a normal South African thing. When society is thinking that way, when we've got that perception, we are creating our own monsters. And before it's too late, you find yourself in a place where you can't get out. You're in too deep. And when you're in the business world and when you are highly stressed, when you're in a highly stressful environment, people are going like, yeah, but I'll drink a sleeping tablet, or I'll drink this pill to just make me feel a little bit calmer. In 2 weeks' time, you're hooked. We need to create awareness. And we need to speak up. And the thing is that we as a society need to change the way that we think about things, the way we bring our kids up, the way we, what's the message that we're giving them? What's the example that we're giving them?
I remember now when you was talking, you once showed me a picture of I think it was a young girl. I don't know how old she was, but she was laying on a bed, sucking her thumb. I mean, it was a grown woman. And that image still sticks with me to today. What was her story?
That girl we got, her dad sold her to the Nigerians when she was 9 years old. And she was 21 when we got her. That's one of the, when I like think back of the last 6 years of helping people and having the centers, that's one of the stories that really, when I was sitting at home watching my kids and crying and thinking that what goes through a father's head to go and sell a girl that's 9 years old, my girls are 9 years old, to go sell her to the Nigerians for what? For money.
It's crazy to think, I mean, you're sitting in Potch and this stuff is happening all around us. We so taken away from that, the reality of that, but I mean, you're in that business. So that's quite hectic. So Frikkie, let's move on to the business side of the rehabs. I mean, how much rehabs do you have? 3 now?
We had 3 up until a month ago. I'll tell you what we did with the other one, but we had 3 and then we went back to 2. And the reason for that is easy. It's just culture. God showed me that we're going to have 12 of these places. But in the beginning, there was a culture. It's about cultivating these presence, because we need to create an environment for people to encounter God. We can't be living like hell and expecting them to just come right and encounter God. So for me to get the staff to be on the same track and the same vision and the same heart, it's not as easy as it's said. It's something that you have to work on. It's something that you have to cultivate, and it's something that must be protected and looked after. It's like that same scripture that says, guard your heart with all of, because out of it flows the issues of life. Now, the staff of the center is like guarding your heart. So it's like, I have to guard the culture, because out of this culture, we're going to send people. And what we create is what we're going to send out.
So in a rehab, like let's say the one here in Potch, how much people does it take for that to operate?
We've got about 50 staff.
50 staff.
Yeah.
And how
I would
many?
say Potch were about 35.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how much people go through that rehab center?
We can take about 120. I would say we in a year would go 180 people would go through the center, 180 to 200. And the one in Bloemfontein can take 60. That's still growing. We just opened it a year and a half ago, so
the problem is real.
it's everywhere. And it doesn't discriminate. It doesn't ask you what's your skin color. It doesn't ask you if you've got money or if you don't have money. It doesn't ask you, did you grow up poor? Did you grow up rich? It just doesn't discriminate.
Frikkie, so just explain to us, how does a rehab center work, the ins and outs of that?
Okay, so to start a rehab center, first of all, they tell you that it needs to be a non-profitable organization. And we started off like that. We started off being a non-profitable organization, and we went on like that for 3 years. Under the impression that somewhere along the line that we would get funding or support or any of that. But 3 years in funding it all by ourselves, we realized that funding is not going to come, and we had to improvise. And then we said, okay, but our hearts are to help people, so we'll have a non-profitable organization on the side, but we cannot help people if we don't run this as a business. So we've got a company on the side. So now it's a company with a non-profitable organization as a leg. And we run it as a company. We've got procedures and systems in place just like a company. And we just try and get it to a place where it is making money so that we can carry on helping other people. But we are also helping people on the side. And that's how we do it now. And 6 years later, still no funding, but we are now helping people.
It works.
Yeah, it's a workable model.
Yeah. What does it cost for someone to come to your rehab?
You wouldn't, if I tell you what we charge monthly, you would think, how do we do it? But our long-term program, we charge 9,200 a month. Now, if I say 9,200, you would say it's a lot of money. But if you divide it into days, you're looking at just over 300 Rand a day to give a person a bed, 3 meals a day, counseling, and everything else that he needs to recover on 300 Rand a day. You can't even sleep in an Airbnb for 300 Rand a day. Plus now we're giving you 3 meals. So it needs very, very detailed planning and very detailed budgeting, and we need to look after the money. We can't be spending just like we want to and buying just like we want to. And then this place still helps about 200 to 300,000 rands worth of people every month on the non-profit side.
I know it's quite interesting for me when you told your story just now. When you went through the rehab center, your father said you must work. And I know out of experience, that's the process also in your rehab. So how does it work? If you go through rehab and let's say you come clean, do you encourage the guys to start working?
Look, so today when I look back, I can see what God did when He said business and help people like I was. It's today I employ in the company Rubberoo, I maybe employ 50 to I don't know how many people that went through the center. So I do encourage that. When we do our rehab program, I'm the first guy to say, listen, you have to let go of your past. You cannot keep blaming your past for something that you did or something that's happened to you, you have to move on. You have to move forward. You have to find purpose. You have to get your identity in Christ. You have to get a job. You have to start somewhere. Nothing's just going to fall in place. If you have to go pack boxes, then pack boxes.
But do it good.
If you have to go sweep the street, go sweep the street. But just stay clean and just do what you do every day, the best you can do it. And the doors will start opening. So, yeah.
So that's amazing. Before we go to Rubber Roofs, you just talked about that. One of the rehab centers you've changed now, the model. You told me this morning before the podcast. So just tell us a bit more about that, what you're doing there.
So look, we had 3 centers and we just went from 3 to 2. Sort of like did a bit of a staff restructuring to fix the culture. And then the 3rd one that we closed was on a farm. So on the farm now, we're actually planting some soyas. We're farming with another farmer. And then the actual center part of it, we got an opportunity to train guys to farm and then send them over to America. Or the agents that send the guys over, send them to us first, and then we train them and see if they can drive tractor or do what they say they can do or know something about farming, and then from there they will go over. So it's become it's agricultural academy.
Okay, but just what's the number of guys going overseas now?
They say about 12,500 guys go over to America every year to go and farm.
And what you saw was the opportunity, because there's no way there's 12,500 farmers that goes over. They say they're farmers and then they go over and then they learn what they need to learn. But
yes.
If they come there and they can't do that, they send them back. Is
yes.
that correct?
Yeah. It's
so what you did is you saw that opportunity. You have the space there on the farm. Raise up or academy to train the guys to do that. Just expand a bit more about the sprayer stuff that you said earlier.
Yeah. There's a big demand for guys that know how to operate a self-propelled sprayer. So I think the agency wants about 2,000 self-propelled spray drivers going over to America every year they want to send. And I can just tell you there's no way that there's 2,000 guys knowing how to drive a self-propelled sprayer. There's no way. So we'll be training the guys how to drive a self-propelled sprayer and in the process also do some contract work on the farms around us or the surrounding farms around us.
Okay, so if somebody listens, if you want to go overseas, he must be in contact with you. That's a hell of a business model, to buy a farm implement, train guys on it so you get income from that, rent it out through the season if you're not using it, and you can still write it off from your expenses on the farm.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a business model. Frikkie, thank you so much for that insight. It's quite, for me, it's interesting. You used all your background. I mean, you came from that sales of that implements to now using that in a way that obviously makes a lot of money. So that's very interesting for me. You've learned out of what you've done in the past to now do it in a more efficient and better way. So that's quite interesting. Now the big one, Rubber Roofs. Where did it start? Take us through the process there.
So Rubber Roofs, I've always had this dream to be able to help people, rehab them, and then afterwards give them a job or find employment for them. And the one day I was helping a friend of mine with his books. And I checked and I said, but it's not a bad company. And it was like, what do you do? No, spray roofs. Like, I'll buy half of it. So we bought half of it. And God's given me a gift to structure things. So I structured a few things, and all of a sudden there's like a lot of sales and a lot of expenses. And the guy said, no, he's not willing to go into this whole stressful environment. He'll sell the whole thing to me. So he sold the whole thing to me. And we started Rubber Roofs, and in the process I decided, but I'm not going to buy a product from somebody and go and apply it. And then when there's a problem, have a fight with a supplier because he supplied me maybe a product that's in a default. I want to manufacture the product and I want to apply it. So I want the whole chain. So there's no gray areas. If I made a mistake here, I have to fix it. And if I made a mistake here, I have to fix it. I don't have any excuses that I can give when there's a roof that's not doing or that's not applied the way it should be. So I have to fix it. And we started manufacturing our own product and we started applying our own product. So you can't buy a Rubber Roofs franchise. We don't sell franchises. We do it ourselves. And that's why we say Rubber Roofs, the trusted name in waterproofing and all things paint. Because there's no way for me to hide from my guarantee or my warranty. I have to stand by it. Yeah, so that's how Rubber Roofs started.
So you do the rehabs, you do the farm on one of the rehab centers, and Rubber Roofs is a major company. It's a very big company. One thing that I want to ask you, your ability to delegate, because obviously you can't be everywhere. We play golf now and then, so if I look at the structures that you have in place, I think you're a very busy guy, and I know you're busy, you're always on your phone, but you have the amazing ability to delegate, and that's something I've learned from my father as well. He's also I'm in his field of work, but he always says to me, you can do other businesses as well, but you can't be operational at all of them. You must do what you do, and you must have somebody that can operate that businesses. Is that the same in your case with all the businesses?
Well, it's a very big part of the success, I would say, is that the day I decided that I'm going to do what I do and I'm going to start my own thing, I always knew that if I want to be successful, I'm going to have to go with people. I will never be successful on my own. And if I'm going to want to do everything on my own, I'm not going to find the success that God intended me to have. So I've got a very strong team of people that go with me, that work with me, that I trust to do what they do, and we look after them very well. It's just, it's not about me. I said to somebody, success is not about the success that I have. It's about the amount of people that can have success inside your success. It's a team thing. And if I look back at the first challenges that I faced, the battle was always there. Because I've always been that guy that go like, okay, I'm going to trust you to do what you do. I'm going to tell you what I want you to do. And I'm going to trust you to do what you need to do. And unfortunately, I've been let down and disappointed in the past. But I've never given up. I always knew that if I want to go somewhere, I'm not going to be able to go alone. I'm going to have to take people with me. And it's to find the right people to go with you and to keep motivating them. Because business is tough. Every day is not easy. You're going to want to give up a couple of times a day maybe. But you have to never, never, never give up. That's the thing. It's just to go and go as a team. It's not about one guy. It's not about one guy's ego. It's about a group of people with the same vision, with the same heart that's going somewhere together. That's what it is.
Frikkie, on that, what is your future goals? What do you want to achieve still? Maybe if you want to throw in the 5-year plan, what's your take on that?
So I've always been the guy that goes like, yeah, I want to, in the next 5 years, I want to do this. And in the next 10 years, I want to do this. And the other day I realized something. I was like, but it's not about a 5-year plan or 10-year plan. It's about an eternal plan. Because what I'm busy building is not going to be mine in 100 years from now. It might not even be my kids. It might not even be my kids' kids. I don't know who I'm building this for. But as long as I've got in mind that the next generation can come and take something over, or they can take it further, then I've accomplished what God gave me to accomplish. Because it's never about us. It's always about those that follow us. And I might not get to see the benefits of what I'm busy building. I know that the rehabs that we are building, that it's a voice. It's a voice for truth. And that the next generation will be better off concerning drug addiction than we were, just because of this place. And I know that when we're busy building with rubber roofs, is we are taking the grey area out of this. Contractors not standing by their word and doing what they need to do, or their warranty, or hiding behind a product default and a product or supply of a product going like, yeah, but it's the contractor. And people are in a world where there's no trust, to have something that you can trust and something that you can rely on, because there's nowhere to hide for us. So that's what I'm busy building. I'm busy building this thing where people can follow, and where it's built on truth, and where the principles are biblical principles, and where we really love God and put Jesus first and in the center of everything that we do. So if you, what's my future plans? As I said, the more people that can find success in my success, the better for me. I want to raise leaders. I want to raise transformational leaders. Why not? We can all dream. It's like, we want to change the country, but we have to start somewhere. We can just start by us. The more people can come out of this culture and have the same mindset, the better. So,
Frikkie, thank you so much. I think if I can take 2 points out of the whole conversation that really stood out for me was, your path to success starts with you taking responsibility for what's on your table. It doesn't matter if it's packing a stuff in a warehouse or sweeping streets or whatever. If you can take responsibility of that and do it the best that you can, it will definitely open up doors for you. I mean, you're a wonderful example of that. And the other one is, once you're there and you want to scale businesses, for me, to delegate some of the tasks to other people, and to know that it's not, I can't do it alone. You need to go with the people, because your whole why, and that's one of the questions I wanted to ask you, but you've answered already, is you want to help people, and with the people you want to grow the businesses. So Frikkie,
so can I just
100%.
If you go like, if you say that to start somewhere, it's when God calls you to something, it's always what is in your hand. And if you look at your hand, it's your gift that's in your hand. And then the Bible says that your gift will make a way. And when it makes a way for you, it's going to make a way for you and others to follow. It's never going to make a way just for you. And then when you're there in that place, why do you do what you do? It's always going to be that so people may know God and the power of His resurrection. That's it. That's why we do what we do.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for listening. If you like the content, please like and subscribe to our page and our channel. And I want to thank Frikkie for the awesome testimony, actually, and the lessons I've learned today. It's very valuable. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.